a song for you.
You're listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I will do one episode for each song the band recorded in the studio. However, this is a fan podcast and not band endorsed. It's more of a tribute to their long history, well beyond just the hits, and my way of giving something back to a band that has given so much to me. Let's dig in! Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, bringing you Season 9, Episode 8, our final proper album track. Today we're talking about the instrumental A200. Now, I've heard a couple of things about what the title refers to. One, I think, was like an electric piano or something, some kind of keyboard-oriented instrument. The other was a cream for a venereal disease. Whatever it is, who cares? What's most important in what this show is about is how the song makes us feel. And this is one that, interesting to me, I don't have a lot of Michigan ties to this song, which is kind of surprising because I got this album when I was still pretty young and spent a lot of years in Michigan listening to it. But it wasn't until, for some reason, and I never disliked the song, but it wasn't until my first trip to Arizona. I think my brother and I went, maybe it was the second trip. It might have been this. I can't remember. It was one of those two trips that I took to Arizona before I moved there. And one of those times we were listening to Busta Rhymes. The second trip we were listening to No Doubt. And I had discovered what a great band they were. Discovered for myself, I should say. Obviously, they were already a great band. And Tragic Kingdom became a huge staple in my music rotation back then. But it was one of those two trips, I can't remember which one now, where we were listening to Burn and I really got into A200. There was just something about the timing of it that really just made me connect with the song more than I ever had before. And I started listening to it a lot around that time. So for me, as much as I know I heard it when I was younger, for me, when I hear it, I always think back to being in Arizona and just kind of exploring and the difference in climate and all that. One was in the spring, one was in the summer. So, they were both pretty damn hot. So I can't really tell by weather which one it was. But either way, kick-ass song. We're going to get into it. But it is the last track on the album. We do have one bonus track that we'll cover tomorrow. And we'll find out kind of a mishap with that track. And I wonder if that mishap hadn't happened, if that would have ended up on the album instead of A200. I don't know. Doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we get what we get. And fortunately, we get access to both songs. So let's dig into A200 by Deep Purple. I love to joke around and call this song John Got an ARP Odyssey, because I'm pretty sure that's what he's using on this one. This was a very experimental album for John. I mean, we get some piano, we get some Hammond, but we get a lot more synth than I think I've heard from him on any previous song, at least with Deep Purple. I don't know about side projects or anything he might have been hired to do, but certainly on Burn, we're getting a lot more synth in Deep Purple than we ever had before. And it's nice. It's nice to experiment, to get new toys, to try different things. As long as you're staying within the context of the band, I think it works beautifully. And he certainly puts them to good use on this album. But it's an interesting opening because it's not a riff, it's not a pattern, it's not anything that's discernible. It's just kind of a little bit all over the place. And then Ian Pace comes in with this absolutely killer drum fill. I love the way this sounds. We're getting two different pitches instead of him just hitting, one drum and doing a what would it be, like a 16-stroke roll? Oh, I'm not sure. I can't remember what they're called now, but we're not getting that. We're getting the fill over a couple of drums. So we're getting some tonality, some color from the drums as well as the synth. It's really a neat opening. Okay, there is already so much happening on this song, but let's talk about the foundation first and we'll build up from there. Anybody recognize that? It's Child in Time. It is the middle section of Child in Time. Dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 just in a different format. And I think that's cool. I think it sounds great. I love what Ian Pace is playing to make that happen. The drums sound really tight. It sounds like he's hitting them really hard. And the overall sound of the drums just fantastic. We're not getting a beat. We're getting something more like the mule, where it's just a pattern that he's playing instead of just like, straight kick snare type beat. Also, I mean, everything we're getting on top of this. So we're getting a really cool riff, Richie. I don't know if you'd call it a riff. Again, it's just kind of a pattern. And then we get these really cool synth tones. And I'm positive this is coming from an ARP Odyssey because of the way they sound. They sound very similar to something Keith Emerson might play in the tones, but it's just kind of like this decaying synth sound. And then after all of that, we're getting these, I don't know if that's a slide guitar. I want to say it's probably a slide from Richie in the background, which has always been an anchor point to me. Like one of the things that I'm like, I can't wait till he plays that again because it just sounds so good. And sometimes they'll be in the background, you'll notice throughout the song, but it's just a really simple, but it adds so much color. And I love it. Lots of layers going on right off the bat here. There we're getting that sound from Richie in the background. It sounds almost like a fire engine starting, which is a really interesting sound. But yeah, that sounds so good, especially with that reverb on it. I love the lead sound that we're getting from John here. And I have in my music rack an Alesis QSR, which is the rack mount version of a Q series synthesizer, which was after the Quadrasynths came out. They had just like the regular QS, let's see, it was the QS6, QS7, and QS8. The QS6 was 61 notes, the QS7 was 76, and the QS8 was the full 88 note keyboard. And so I had my Korg X3, which was 61 notes at the time, got the Quadrasynth, and I used to MIDI out to get sounds out of that, run those through my mixer. And yeah, this has some sounds that are similar to that. Completely inspired by things like the ARP Odyssey and those 70s synths. So really cool sound. I actually love it. It's really different textures for Deep Purple, but yet they frame it in a way that it's definitely them. And it's interesting when they play outside the box or do something that's totally very different. It's still very much Deep Purple. Now, Ian Pace is not just staying within the framework of that rhythm. He's adding to it. He's doing fills within that. And even though the whole thing kind of sounds like a fill or just a repeated pattern, he's actually playing above that sometimes and adding in some flourishes, which make it interesting, keep it from just feeling repetitive. Because if you're going to play that beat through an entire song, and this is a complaint a lot of people have about the mule, you got to put some things in there, and he's doing a great job doing some flourishes here on this. Absolutely love it. Yeah, this song just has such an amazing mood and feel to it, and I think that's one of the big things that attracts me to it. Plus, I love the synth sound. Love what Richie's doing. It's it's a really cool song. It's very different. not even sure how to label things in the arrangement of this, because this feels like a verse, but it's kind of got this solo going on behind it, which could just be what John Lord would play behind it if there were vocals. So it's back to being kind of like a verse. I'm not really sure, but whatever it is, it sounds great. I love, again, just the contrast between the two synth sounds. One sounds like kind of like a decaying synth piano almost, and the other definitely just, more of a straight synth. And the combination of these two sounds is just fantastic. I also love where it goes up here in pitch, almost like a pre-chorus, and it just changes the tonality, changes the feel of it. Very expressive, and man, I'm just really, really into this song. The panning of the drums is great here too, because we're getting left, center, and right. And with a small kit like this, it's interesting how big it can sound. And a simple trick like panning can really make it sound bigger than it is. Don't normally interrupt a guitar solo, but God, there's so much happening here. Those crash cymbals sound absolutely huge in this mix, and I'm pretty sure they're turned up, because if you compare them to other songs on the album, they cut through, but they don't sound as big as this one. Also, it's interesting what they're playing under Ritchie as far as melody. Like, you'll notice that there's really no melody. They're just playing the root, the very basic root of what we normally are getting in, I guess, what would be the verse section or the verse-like section. They're not even playing all of that. It's just very simple. It sounds full, though. It doesn't sound like it's lacking any depth or thickness or anything, which is pretty amazing considering how little is being played underneath of it. That might be in part because of the rhythm section, that we're okay missing that melody without feeling like we're missing that melody. But maybe you guys do feel something's lacking in there. I don't know. That would be up to you, certainly. But yeah, certainly interesting. I hate to interrupt another solo, but again, there's just so much happening here. This synth solo is absolutely fantastic. It's got some great points in it. I love where it's going as it fades out. It's just got such power to it. And again, this is such a simple song in a lot of ways. It's not, there's no vocals. It's not a heavy riff or anything like that. It's just, there's a certain elegance to it, I think. And while it seems simple in structure, since there's so much solo to it and a couple of synth layers, earlier on, I think it sounds busier than it probably really is. But overall, it's just got such a great feel to it, and I can see why they decided to put it on the album instead of writing anything else. Yeah, you can tell John's just having a lot of fun on that synth, and who could blame him? When you're used to just having a certain sound or a couple of sounds, and you're somewhat limited that in that way. I mean, you can manipulate them, but the bass Hammond is still the bass Hammond. You can put the grit on it. You can play the electric piano or regular piano, but fairly limiting. And now all of a sudden, he's got this huge palette of tones and feelings at his disposal. And you realize all of a sudden your world just got a lot bigger. There's so much you could do. And, kind of digging in and exploring them can be a lot of fun. And from what I've read about the ARP Odyssey, one of the things that people loved about it was very easy to program. So you could do a lot of stuff on the fly and get a sound set fairly quickly if you knew where to put it. I could say it's obviously, as time went on, his main organ or his main instrument was always the organ. And he said that he uses synths for colors and that, but mainly he remained a Hammondist. And I think that was during the Perfect Strangers tour that he said that, maybe House of Blue Light. But in any case, he's really having a lot of fun playing with these sounds here, and who can blame him? Just a joy to open up that audio palette. But this song, man, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It has such a good feel to it. It's a great ending for the album. I think that trail that we get at the end here, and unfortunately the only version, so I don't know, there's no version out there that I've heard that says what happens after this. Nothing that, Glenn didn't give us that when he did the remastered version of Burn, him taking over for Roger, because Roger wasn't involved in these albums. He didn't really, I don't know if he had the access, but probably didn't feel he had the right to touch them. Glenn stepped in and did Burn, Stormbringer, and Come Taste the Band. It's just such a great song, and one that, while it's very different from what we got used to, I feel that Burn, being a somewhat experimental album, dealing with two singers for the first time, doing these kind of vocal harmonies and trade-offs and things that they were doing, more synthesized around the album. It's just all very different. A couple songs being basically drum solos through, most of Burn, and a good chunk of, another song. And I can't think of the name of it right now. How horrible is that? I just recorded it a few days ago. Lay Down, Stay Down. So, you're getting a lot of stuff that we don't normally see on a Deep Purple album. So it's not surprising that there would be an instrumental, which we haven't heard since the Mark I era, or, something with a completely different rhythm or synthesizer or something like that. So I love that they recorded the song. I absolutely love that they put it on the album. I think it's sometimes you have to experiment and do different things. Look at Anyone's Daughter, perfect example, coming off of In Rock, very heavy and dramatic album. You get Fireball, you get more introspective in the lyrics. You get songs like Anyone's Daughter or No, 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 which is really political, or, just something completely different. And I really like that. Since today is Monday, guys, I do want to take a second and thank our patrons. At the $5 Money Talks tier, we have William Rose, Corey Morissette, and Nate. And at the $1 No Need to Shout tier, we have Kai Rune Olson. Thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot to me. When I was doing these shout outs every Monday when I had Uriah Heep the Magician's podcast, I felt like it sounds sometimes like I'm just kind of, reading the list, but I really do. Every time I think about it, I really do appreciate the fact that people actually enjoy the show enough to voluntarily, with really no benefit to them other than to know that they're contributing to something that they find enjoyment in and helping to share that with others, are giving freely of themselves back to the show. And that really means a lot to me. I appreciate everybody that shares the show, comments, listens, enjoys it, all that stuff. But, going the extra mile, that really hits me in the heart, So thank you guys very, very much. As usual, I am recording this about a month ahead of time. So if you have joined the Patreon more recently, I will get to you and get your name on the list as soon as I hit the next episode that I record, from the time that I see it in there. And I get in there about 4 times a week when I go to post the daily episode when it comes out. The 4 days a week it comes out. So hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday. Hope great things are ahead for you. We'll see you tomorrow for the final episode of the Burn album, with the one track that didn't make the cut. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Cheers. Thanks for listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast, a tour of the entire Deep Purple studio recordings. Please remember to give the show a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Leave a comment and tell your friends. I also have a Patreon set up if you'd like to support the show. You can also write to me at smokeonthepodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode and thanks for listening.